All right, we're live. It's 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Today's Thursday, and welcome to the Brand Success live stream. My name is Mash Bonigala, and I am a brand strategist. Now, of course, I'm also the founder and CEO of Spellbrand, a leading branding agency, but I also am a content creator. So in these series, hopefully, I will have a live stream every week, every Thursday or Friday, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. Potentially, it's going to be Thursday. I'm going to be answering questions, your questions about branding, right? Either general branding questions, so these could be how branding works, what the different principles are, or it could be very specific to your brand. If you're launching a brand, if you're building a brand, you may be having some challenges in terms of how to build a robust brand. Or maybe you already have a brand, you already been in business for a few months, a few years, and you're finding the threshold, you're hitting kind of a ceiling, and you're not able to take your brand to the next level. Then maybe you have some challenges and questions that you can ask. So I'll be looking at the chat. If you're on YouTube, you can post your question. If you're on Facebook, also you can post your questions. I'm not sure if they're going to be in sync. I will see if they will be in sync. And what I will do first to get started is I have a couple of questions already that I received beforehand, before this live broadcast, and I'll start with that. And in the meanwhile, you can start asking questions. Okay, but before I do that, let me go to the event, right? So let me go to the event itself. Sorry, I'm just doing this on Facebook, right? So just bear with me. I know this is what happens with a live stream. There's a lot of yapping and there's a lot of okay, right. That's very good. So I've now the chat open on both, so I can see the chat coming in. First question is from Mike. And Mike, he wants to remain anonymous. So I'm not really going to divulge any details of his specific brand or business in question. But his question is this. We've been putting things together, but all these seem like puzzle pieces. We don't know where to start. It's a new brand. It's a new venture. And we are thinking of starting with the brand identity, or what do we need to do first? Okay, that's a great question. I think this is a question that almost every new brand stakeholder would have. How do you put all these things together, right? So what is the structure? In fact, this question may answer a lot of your questions. If you're joining in now and you have a question, what I'm going to talk about may touch upon the question that you have. In any case, so when you're building a brand, there are, I would say, roughly three kind of silos, right? Or three pillars for building a robust brand. The first one is strategy, right? Think of it as a story. So it is your brand story. And a brand strategy is nothing but building a brand story. The end result of a brand strategy is building a brand story. The second pillar is visual expression. So first pillar, brand strategy. Second pillar, visual expression. And the third pillar is marketing strategy. Maybe the middle pillar, let's call it visual strategy. So it's all strategies. So you got the brand strategy, you got the visual strategy, and you got the marketing strategy. A lot of people jump in the middle pillar first, right? So they typically start off with a brand name, and they may have a very valid reason. They may have a great reason for picking that brand name. And then they would probably just get a logo designed, right? And maybe even a website put together. And let's say this is for a product or even a service. So they've already been working on their product. They have a prototype. Maybe they even have the product ready to hit the market. Or if it's a service, they've got everything lined up. And so they think, okay, we have this name. Let's get the visual kind of logo and all, the website, and then let's just start marketing. Which is good, which works for a lot of people, and it doesn't work for a lot of people. Now, I've said this in a lot of my videos that you need to have your brand strategy in place first. It is like a playbook, and it determines what happens to your visual expression of your brand. So it will inform your brand name. It will inform your brand visual language, which is the logo design, the brand identity. It will also inform your marketing strategy. Otherwise, what happens is that you're like, you start off like without a plan. Let me take an analogy, right? So let's say you want to travel to a place. You want to have a holiday, I don't know, in Greece, right? There are two ways of doing it. One is you just decide you want to go to Greece, or you've been thinking about you want to go to Greece. Then you just head to the airport, right? You jump in a cab, you head to the airport, you go to the counter and ask them for the next flight to Greece. They say, okay, where in Greece? You say, wherever, I don't care. And so that person would give you a strange look behind the counter, the ticketing person. And then, of course, they'll just look through and they might find, I don't know, the next flight is to Corfu, right? So they say, okay, fine. There's this flight. It's in about 6 hours time. Do you want it? You say, yeah, okay, fine. You pay for it. You wait 6 hours. You jump on the plane, and then you land in Corfu. And once you get out of the airport, you go to the first cab that you see and then say, just take me to a hotel. The guy says, which one? You say, anyone. I want a 5-star hotel or whatever, whatever your budget. And he then drives you to a hotel. You go in there. If you're lucky, they have a room for you. If not, then you move to the next one and so on. And then after that, once you've checked into the hotel, you just head out into the town. Now, and then you spend the rest of your holidays there. You have no plan, nothing. This is fantastic. And in fact, maybe once in your life, you need to do that. For travel, it does make sense to do it once in your lifetime because it's spontaneity, right? It will sort of bring that spontaneity to life. What is the other way? The other way is to spend maybe a couple of weeks before your intended date of travel, maybe even a couple of months, where you plan out everything in detail, right? So you decide what dates you're going to fly out, when you're going to come back, which airlines, is it a direct flight? Is it a connecting flight? And is there any way you can, I don't know, maybe save some money in that or maximize your experience? Take a connecting flight and fly business class, which maybe amounts the same as taking a direct flight, all that. And then beforehand, you research where you want to go. Where do you want it to be a base? Or is it going to be a couple of different towns or cities that you want to get down? And if it's going to be only one place, that's going to be a base, then what are you going to do? First of all, of course, which hotel? What are the best options out there? Are you going to take an Airbnb, or would you just go to booking.com and book, and check the ratings of all the hotels, read the reviews and so on and so forth. And then, of course, you book that, and you also pre-book a car that will take you from the airport to the hotel. And while you're there, what are you going to do on the first day, the second day, the third day? What are the different things that you want to do? Okay, I know I'm taking this analogy too far, but the reason I'm doing that is I'm allowing people to jump on this live stream, just giving them a little bit of time. But anyway, so back to our analogy. Building a brand is similar to this. You could just, jump into your brand building as and when and just do whatever it takes at that moment. Like you decide, okay, this is the name. And then you just simply say, fine, I'll just find someone online to help me design a logo. Or maybe one of your team members has had a little bit of experience designing stuff, and so maybe he or she can. Or I've seen this happen, believe me, especially for small to medium businesses. One of maybe their brother or their nephew, or let them design the logo. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to say that that is a bad thing, but we're talking here about a professional brand building exercise. Because what happens is, if you don't build your brand properly, you're going to have opportunity costs down the line. An opportunity cost is when you do something and you don't do something else, what are you losing out, right? So if you have two options, you have two doors, and you open one door, you walk through, what are you leaving on the table? If you don't plan this properly, if you don't build a brand properly, then down the line, you're going to leave money on the table. You're not going to have the kind of revenue that you deserve. You're going to be spending a lot more on marketing because it's going to be difficult to communicate and to draw people, audience to your brand. So the other way, as I was saying, is to build a strategy first. Now, a strategy is like the plan for your travel. Everything is nailed down. You know beforehand what your brand stands for. You know beforehand what your vision is, mission, values are, what your brand story is. Now, if you've been watching my videos, you know what I'm going to say next, right? Your brand story is not the same as your origin story, right? Your origin story and your brand story are different. People who have been watching my videos are probably have fed up with this. I repeat this in every video because it is critical. It's very important for you to remember that your origin story is not your brand story. Your origin story is, of course, about how you came up with this idea for this product or service. You're in the market, you're looking for something, you couldn't find it, and you struggled, and then finally you had some bad experiences, and then finally you did find something that wasn't really right for you, and then bingo, the light goes off and you thought, hang on, there's nothing out there, and I'm sure there are people like me looking for this product or service, and so why don't I provide that? So, and then, you went through that struggle. You went through, maybe you found a partner, and then you went to the prototyping. You couldn't find a manufacturer. You were searching in China. You were searching in, Algeria. And finally you found one. Maybe you had bad experiences. The prototype didn't work. All these things, right? So this is your origin story. And your origin story is very important. Of course it's important. But think about it. Till you become an established brand, would people really care about your origin story? Yeah, they might read it, they might find it interesting, but would they kind of align with it? Would they decide to be your customers just because of the origin story? Probably not. Trust me, probably not. Your origin story is interesting to a certain extent, but until you become established, your origin story is not really going to generate the kind of top of mind brand recall for your brand. Unless, of course, your origin story is truly and spectacularly unique. If it is truly and spectacularly unique, then yes, your origin story. So as with everything in branding, nothing is set in stone. It's all, it's as you see and as your brand evolves, but you need to have certain fundamentals, right? You need to have certain principles. And sorry, I'm just checking to see if there are any questions. Yes, okay, that's fine, that's great. Keep them coming, keep them coming. Keep them coming. Yep, keep them coming. All right. So we're talking about structure, right? So let's talk about the structure. And you need to have that brand story, which is separate from your origin story. Your brand story is how you align with your target audience, what is important for them, how your product or service plays a role in their worldview, things like that. So You need to have that. Once you have that, then imagine if you already have a name, fine, there's nothing you can do. But imagine you then pick a brand name that is informed by the strategy. And when you're picking the brand name, you now know what to pick or what would work, or it is based on something to do with your core values or your brand story. It is to do with what your brand means to the world, rather than arbitrarily just picking something to do with a product or like a cliche, or maybe you like it. You see where I'm going with this, right? The same goes with the visual expression. An arbitrarily designed logo, you go to a designer. Let's say you didn't have a brand strategy or any of that, and you say, well, I want a beautiful looking logo. Or maybe you have some ideas beforehand. You want to represent strength, so you're thinking maybe an eagle, or maybe, I don't know, a mountain or a lighthouse. I don't know. You have some ideas. And I'm not saying that it is wrong to have these ideas. In fact, you should. But what are they informed by? They're not informed by scientifically proven kind of strategy that will work with your audience, right? So it's going to be random. It's going to be arbitrary. And worse yet, if you don't have an idea and you just hire a graphic designer and say, create a beautiful logo, and then they decide. Now, graphic designers will design based on design aesthetics, right? Something beautiful, maybe if the name makes sense, maybe something to do with the name or something to do with your business. It may work, it may not work. This is gambling, right? You're betting on something that hit and miss. It may work for a lot of people. I'm sure there are people out there who've done this, and they have fantastic results with it. And I'm sure there are people out there who've had terrible results with it. So when you go to the designer, when you hire a brand identity agency, now you're armed with a story. You give them that story and you say, these are our core values. This is what our brand stands for. This is who we are. This is our tone. This is our message, our core message. This is what we want our audience to think. These are our brand personas, audience personas. And these are our audience archetypes. This is our brand archetype. Now imagine how the brand naming and your visual expression will result. Now, if that agency is a design professional agency, or even if it's a freelancer, is a design professional, then they would go through that brand playbook, strategy playbook, and then create the visuals based on that. The same goes for your website. Then you get to the third pillar, which is your marketing strategy. Now, your marketing strategy, again, if let's say you had no strategy in place, you had no message, nothing in place, no brand story, what then happens is your marketing would be looking at the competition. Let's see what they're doing and maybe try and replicate that, change the message a little bit, or you have certain ideas in mind. You want to say this to your audience so that they will come and buy. Usually it will be about, oh, our product is the best. We have the best customer service, or we use the best material out there. We're high quality, we're high performance, blah, blah, blah. Okay, features. These are features. And the features of your product or service are important, but they're not as important as the benefits of your product or service to your audience, right? So features should be mentioned in your marketing, but they are supporting evidence to the primary kind of focus, which is the benefit. Why should your customers buy from you, right? What kind of a benefit do they get beyond the features? So you got to work that out, and that is marketing. So this is, in brief, the structure of, putting together a robust brand. And I would advocate that you do this in sequence if you can. Even if you've been in business for a little while, I would say, start afresh, go back to the drawing board. It's okay. The investment that you put into creating a brand strategy will pay you over. It's invaluable. Trust me, it's invaluable, right? Instead of, a lot of people try and save money at that stage, but they will end up paying more double, triple, 10 times more down the line because of bad visuals, because of bad marketing strategies, because there is no underlying framework. There's nothing to support. But if you invest initially, then down the line, you save money because there's no randomness. There's no arbitrary, oh, okay. And I always give this example. Today's Thursday. What are we going to post? Oh, let's just post a cute, I don't know, or a photo of our product and say something. No, you will have predetermined core messages that you then pick the message and say, okay, today let's talk about one of our core values. And let's pick one of these message blocks. And then what kind of image would go with this? Or should we post a product image or maybe something else that better communicates this? And then you post. So your messages, your marketing messages have better kind of power, so to speak. Okay, Mike, I hope that answers a lot of questions. There are a few more questions here that touch upon this. So I sort of clubbed them all together. Okay, another question. Benjamin asks, okay, this is about competition. Okay, so Benjamin says, Mike, I'm trying to keep up with my competition, but they keep changing their pricing every so often. They keep changing their marketing message every so often. What do I do? Benjamin, very interesting question. Right. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about some theory here. Okay. I'm sure if you've been watching my videos, I talk about the blue ocean and the red ocean, right? So this is not my theory, of course, it's out there. I will leave a link below later on for a video that I've done. But essentially, the idea is this. The red ocean is how most kind of market segments are, right? I'm sure maybe you're also in a red ocean. The red ocean is where there's lots of sharks. They're all fighting for fish, of course, and fish being the customers and the sharks being the competitors. And they're all attacking each other and there's blood in the water, right? It's a red ocean. And if you're a new shark getting in there, and if you're a small shark, then you got no chance of competing, of fighting, getting your jaws on fish. On the other hand, you have a blue ocean where it's blue water. It's just you. There are no other sharks, no competitors. It's just you. And you get the fish that you want, that you need. And you're exploring on your own terms. You're not looking behind, worried about another shark attacking you or attacking your fish or your customers. So this is a very important theory. You need to keep this in mind that yes, it's good to look at your competition. It's good to look at your competitors, but try to strive to move your brand towards a blue ocean. What this means is that you try to come up with a strategy, you try to come up with a brand story, you try and market your brand in such a way that you're not really competing. So let's say your competition is based on price. Okay, let's say you're in a commodity sector, right? You're selling, I don't know, pens. So if you're selling pens, then it would be a commodity sector. And if your competitors are pricing, let's say $10 for this pen, and you want to charge $9 if you can, and then they see that and they say, okay, fine, $7. It's a race to the bottom. But what if you try to reframe your market? You try to reframe your product. It could be the same product, but think about how you can add value to this so that it's not just a pen anymore, right? And an example, Montblanc, right? Montblanc brand, Montblanc. I'm sure you know Montblanc. They also sell pens, but their pens are in the hundreds of dollars. And the reason is because they've reframed their kind of outlook. They are in a blue ocean of pens. Anybody wants to gift a pen, typically they'll go for a Mont Blanc. CEOs, rich people, right? Successful entrepreneurs typically have a Mont Blanc pen or one or more. In fact, they collect. And it's a sense of achievement. That is the message. That is the framing that Mont Blanc has done to say, you want to buy a Mont Blanc pen, you have to be deserving. You got to achieve it. So you don't just buy a Mont Blanc pen, you buy it because you're achieving. And that, initially that might seem like, oh, okay, are they restricting their market? Maybe they are. But restricting your market is better than trying to please everyone. So in your market segment, if they're changing their pricing, stop. Do not change your pricing. Do not get into a price war with your competitor, right? Look at your story and look at your competitor's story, at least at that stage. Okay, do you have a story at all? If not, then that's where you need to start. Do your competitors have a story? Look at what they're doing. What is their story? How is it different from yours? Are you also trying to tell the same story? Or are they just talking about the features of the product and nothing else? That's an opportunity for you, right? So try and move away from your competition by adding value to your product or service, and then effectively telling that story of that value. Communicate that value to your audience at all times. And try to build a community around your brand. Build a brand rather than just a product or product-based company. It's not a business, it's a brand, right? I hope that answers your question, Benjamin. You haven't given me any other information, so I can't really give any specific advice. Okay, I'm looking at another. Okay, there's another question here, a very interesting question. And I think because I've covered a lot of these questions that I see, I've already answered them in the last two questions. And that's what I tend to do. Because I describe a lot, I go into theory that sort of answers. This one is very specific. Again, it's anonymous, but I will try and, give as much detail as possible so you understand what's going on. This question is from Michelle. Michelle is trying to launch a fitness casual wear on the lines of Lululemon kind of a thing, yoga, fitness, but also casual, which means that it's not just, so you don't just look like you're coming from the gym, but can be used elsewhere. And she says, what should I do? How should I launch this brand? Okay, Michelle, it's the market segment you're trying to enter is highly competitive. It is, I would say it's probably a very, very tough market at this moment. And yes, you are competing with the likes of Lululemon, and there's Under Armour. There's lots of brand there. Nike. Everybody has jumped into athleisure, as they call it, the athleisure brand market segment. And so you find it very difficult if you look at Lululemon, if you look at Nike, if you look at Under Armour, and try and come up with similar messaging. Now, your product might look the same because at the end of the day, leggings are leggings, or tops or shorts or whatever, exercise, athletic. There might be differences in terms of the material, for example. Maybe you're saying that you have an edge, especially with orders. So you're having some kind of a material that actually smells better as it gathers moisture, which is fantastic. I think you need to capitalize on that. But if you just focus on that, and if you just push that feature, it's very easily duplicable, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, unless you have a patent on that. If you have a patent on that, that's fine. But because I've read somewhere else that I think even Nike has something like that, where they, it's odor, it emits. So there's the fabric is made of this. It's got this organic compound that releases good smell when it's soaking, right? When it comes in contact with moisture, so something similar. And they also give out, I think, scent kits that then you soak. Anyway, if that is the case, then it's not completely unique unless you have a patent for it. And I would suggest that you build the brand from a different perspective. Yes, this odor thing will be one of your main features. You use it as your kind of one of your main features, but in terms of benefit, approach it from a different angle. Okay, look at it from a different angle. I can't give any specific strategies, of course, on this call, because a strategy has to be worked out. We need to understand more about your target audience, but begin there. Build archetypes of your audience, and then build your brand archetype, and then tell a story that goes beyond just this feature so that you're not easily replaceable. It's a tough market to get in. I would say focus very niche, right? Choose a niche marketing strategy, niche brand strategy. Target very specific. Maybe it could be, I don't know, artists. You target only artists, music artists. Or maybe you target attorneys, right? Attorneys, that market segment, their leisure, their kind of workout, focus on that. Pick one particular market segment, vertical, and then focus on that. Maybe that would be a better way for you to move forward rather than trying to compete with the big guns out there. Okay. All right, guys. So that, I think, for today, yeah, I know I said an hour, but I think half an hour is pretty long. It already feels long, and maybe next week I will do longer. If you have any questions, this is going to be a replay on YouTube, so leave your questions below that so I can use those questions for the next live session. I'll probably do a live session next Thursday. This time I will take specific topics. So next live session, why don't we talk about, I don't know, Instagram marketing? Yeah? Shall we do that? Shall we pick specific topics? Because today was brand success. This was a topic that is just a general. I wanted to kick off these live session series with a general topic, but next one will be very specific. Why don't we do brand building on Instagram? Then we can do brand building on Facebook, brand building on LinkedIn next week's, right? Brand building on Instagram. Let's do that. So if you have any questions about how to build your brand on Instagram, drop them below and I will answer them in my next live session. Till then, take care and always be building your brand, right? Always be building your brand. Don't rest on your laurels. Don't worry about your competitors. Focus internally. Okay, dig deep to say, what is my brand? What do I stand for? Think of those things. All right. Till my next video, take care.